Okay, the first tutorial on the War of the Ring, as promised. So we'll be looking at companies and formations. We'll be looking at the characteristics and profiles of various units. That'll do it for the first one. Now, companies. A company can be of three types as I see it. You've got your, I'll show you some over here. Right, we've got a company of Urukai Scouts here. All right, now they're in this 2x4 formation, which is quite standard for infantry. Then we've got the cavalry here. You've got a couple of Rohan riders of Rohan. And then finally you have monsters which don't have movement trays. These are basically so big they're pretty easy to move anyway. So we've got the Balrog. Now don't worry, the Balrog's not making an appearance in this scenario. He's just here for information purposes. Okay, now the companies, well, let's just say the movement trays, I might as well say it, they are standard trays in the fact that every tray on this particular board is a legitimate Games Workshop tray, but you don't have to use that. I've explained that you can actually buy trays, you can make them just even out of paper and just stick your units on with blue tack or something like that. You don't have to have official trays. They're really there just to make things easier to move and to allow you to have formations, etc. Now, if we look at a company can have, it's got basically a front arc, which is its long front here, right? For example, on this orc thing. Okay, the long front there and the long front there would be the front arc, and it has a flank, two flanks, and a rear arc. Now that's important because you can get various bonuses by charging into flanks, or if you're really lucky, getting into the rear of a formation. Okay, the formations have what are called legal formations. Now I'm not going to read out the actual text, but I'm just going to show you the legal formations in the book. Right, so you can't have these jagged formations like this, the ones with crosses. You've got to have them, they've got to line up in a straight line if they can. Okay, next we go on to rank formations. So you've got you basically got to line up, and you can't have like overlapping. You see that one at the top, you've got an overlapping unit there. That's an illegal formation. As you can see, some legal formations below it. Another illegal one. Now that's illegal because you can't have less less companies in the front of a formation than the second rank. It's got to work the other way around. The first rank's got to have the most, the second rank can have less. And you can see a couple of legal formations below that. And you also, when you're making contact with your opponent, formations have got to make contact in a legal manner, i.e., you know, one-on-one with your opponent's front arc there. You're allowed overlapping, sort of on the second example there. On the third example, you can go face to face, and another legitimate attack is if you're attacking in the flank. So your first two companies there would be able to attack the flank of the two other companies you've made contact with. Stuff and dice and etc. That's just pretty standard. Using d6s, if you roll a d3, you use 1 to 2 is 1, 3 to 4 is 2, 5 to 6 is 3, etc. If you modify dice, you'll just be given a d6 plus number, such as d6 plus 1, etc. Nothing radical about that. Your measuring distance, there's a cat about to attack me. Okay, just ignore it. Using tape measures, etc. When measuring a distance between two companies, you just use the nearest points on both companies. So if even part of a company is within 6 inches of another one, the whole company is in 6 inches. You got re-rolls and roll-offs. Basically, if you're asked to do a re-roll and the second roll is worse than the first, you've got to keep with the second roll. If you need to do a roll-off, if you're rolling for each side to do something, like even to get priority in the turn, if you get a tie, you have to roll off, and you just keep rolling off until one side gets a higher score, which is slightly different from the strategy battle game, if you're familiar with that. Okay, if we look at characteristics, each unit has a set of characteristics. It has its points value, what it is, nice little picture so you can identify it. Common formations, you don't have to stick by these, but it's sort of I don't know, they recommend it anyway. War gear tells you what type of weapons they have. There's a section on war gear, we won't cover that at the moment. And you've got like extra points that you can add certain things to a formation but they cost you extra points. Now the characteristics, you've got your race, which in this case will be Rohan and Urukai. It might be slightly different for Grishnarts, but I'm not going to look that up now. Type, you're really talking like infantry, cavalry, monster, flying monster. Won't go into flying monsters. You've got your move, is how much you can move in inches. You've got your fight value, which is 2 numbers. The first one being your skill in hand-to-hand combat, and the second one being your skill in range combat, which is usually referred to as a shoot value. You've got strength. Strength reflects the physical might of the actual company. So if stronger units will have a higher strength value, and this is used to work out casualties. You got defense. Defense values, how tough and hardy it is. Monsters are usually really tough, whereas infantry and cavalry are pretty much just normal ratings. Your strength and your defense are used when you're calculating how many wounds things can take. You've got your attacks, that's the number of attacks you can make per company, which is usually going to be 8 or 2 for the cavalry. Monsters will have their own specific attack thing. Resilience is how many wounds effectively that a company has. So normally a pretty normal cavalry would have like two wounds for its 2 units, whereas an infantry would have 8 wounds. Okay, well, actually I got that wrong about the cavalry. The cavalry usually have better number of wounds, and in fact the riders of Rohan here, they have 2 wounds for each unit on the tray, whereas the infantry ones are usually all ones. Heroes and like Ugluk and Grishnart, Baha, Aoma will have extra number of wounds. Okay, courage. Courage is the it works exactly the same as the Middle-earth strategy battle game, in the fact that you basically roll 2 dice and you add your courage value to it, and if that value is 10 or more, you pass your courage test. We've got might. Now might is what the heroes use, so only heroes have the might stat, and it allows them to perform various heroic actions, which we won't get into now. Okay, that'll do for the first video.